in this scenario, we're going to see how engineering and manufacturing can collaborate around the product definition. That will be the engineering definition, or what we call as well engineering bill of material, as well as the manufacturing definition, which will be the manufacturing bill of material. So this is the workflow demonstration. We have two ENOVIA and DELMIA roles. We're talking about the product release engineer, which is an ENOVIA role, and the manufacturing items engineer, which is a DELMIA role. And we will start by showing how we can develop engineering definition using the product release engineer. And our demo scenario will be around a drone. We will be focusing on a specific part of the drone, so we're not going to show a complete design or definition of the drone. But we will start showing the capabilities that we can do, that we can have in the application which is used by the product release engineer in order to define what we call engineering definition. And later on, we handle this work to the manufacturing engineer in order to start working and developing and validating the manufacturing definition based on the engineering definition. So the second part will be the manufacturing items engineer, who will review the work that was done in the engineering and validate that, and based on that will be updating the manufacturing definition. Now at this point, because of a clash that was found between one of the components of the drone and the assembly station that will be used to assemble this drone in the manufacturing shop floor, the manufacturing engineer will not continue working on the manufacturing definition. He will mention this clash back to the engineer, and that will require a new redesign of the support of the camera. And that is the part that has a clash in this assembly station. So that means that the product release engineer now needs to review, and he needs to re-update and define again that support in order to make sure that it will be correctly working, and the clash that was found earlier will not be there anymore. So there will be a replacement of an old component with a new component, and finally this will be validated by the manufacturing engineer, and this is where the work will be completed by simply updating the manufacturing bill of material and completing the task that was originated by the product release engineer in the first place. So let's see how this works. So here we have the engineering release app. As you can see, I have the engineering definition on my left side, which is a set of the engineering items, and I can select engineering items, and I can see a cross highlight with the 3D on the right side. This way it gives me a good visibility of these components. It's a structure definition, so I can see the complete structure of the assembly, and every time I select engineering item again, it will be highlighted in the 3D. So we have two views. We have the usage and we have the reference view, which will allow me, the reference view allows me to have a look at the total quantity of each reference, which will be all the instances of this reference. And I can also analyze this engineering definition based on the maturity state, for example. So if I want to focus on, let's say, the components which are frozen, I simply select frozen here, and I can just focus on them. So the system will filter the list and will show me only what has been selected in the tagger. Okay, now I go back to the complete definition here, and now I can add, for example, a new engineering item. This engineering item will represent, for example, a label. It's a component which has, which is a label that we will attach to the drone assembly definition, and we can update the title, the description, and so on. So it's a very easy way to create engineering items directly from this interface. And then we describe this label, for example. And another capability in this widget is the ability to create enterprise item number, which is the official item number in the organization. So with one click, I can generate automatically this enterprise item number. And I can also create engineering items which will represent the consumption of core material. For example, if I have an oil quantity which I want to add as part of the engineering definition, I can use this capability. I'm adding here an oil, for example, 0.8 liter of an oil, and that will represent this liquid in my engineering definition. So this will be the consumption of this liquid material inside the engineering definition. And in similar way, I describe this, I add a title and description, and I save this new engineering item. Now we can also define the alternate components. I'm now focusing on the strap. We can see it highlighted on the right side, and I want to define what will be the alternates of this component. So the alternate can be related or relative to the parent, any parent where this strap exists. So that will be the first option I'm using here. The second option is that, well, this strap may have another alternate which is only relevant in this assembly, all instances of this current drawn. So this will be the second option I'm using. So I have here a definition of alternates which apply to this engineering item, and that depends also where this engineering item exists as a child of a parent. Now let's focus on the camera, and that will be our major focus today. So the camera has different components, and I want to describe now the manufacturing intent of the support. So we can see here the components of the camera. There is a support component, and as an engineer, I may decide that this support is something we want to buy from external provider, for example. So I'm going to the manufacturing definition inside the engineering definition, and I create a new manufacturing item of type buy. Okay, that will be as of type provided part. So this will be a component that we will be purchasing from external source. And that's currently this component does not exist on the level of manufacturing bill of material. It's only attached to this engineering item. And now I want to collaborate with manufacturing, so I create a collaborative task, and I'm asking the manufacturing engineer to start working on the manufacturing BOM, the specific one that has been attached to this engineering definition. So I will assign this collaborative task to the manufacturing engineer, and I will also need to attach this engineering definition as a context in this task. So this way, I'm telling the manufacturing engineer to which engineering definition I am referring to, so that will be the context of this collaborative task. So this way, we are collaborating on the same context, on the same engineering definition. So the moment this is saved, the manufacturing engineer will be receiving a notification. So this is the first notification that the manufacturing engineer will receive around this engineering definition. So he goes to the task, and we see there is a task here to be worked on. So the first thing we do when we receive a task is to review the task content, understand what was the intention of the engineer that assigned the task to me as a manufacturing engineer. And I take the context, I drag it into my widget, and my widget is my manufacturing items management. So this is the engineering definition, but I need to work on the manufacturing bill of material. And there might be more than a single one attached to this engineering definition. Now we can see the 3D as well, which makes it easier to understand. And when I go to the relation, I see 3 manufacturing bill of material, but I will focus on the one of France that was requested in the collaborative task, to focus on this one and to work on the manufacturing bill of material of France. And I first analyze the work, analyze this manufacturing and engineering, and I can see here that there is a manufacturing item that was not assigned to the engineering definition. So there is something to be done here, because the engineering have created maybe a new item, and I need to develop the manufacturing bill of material for this content. So now, before we deal with that, let's first do some restructuring here. Restructuring means that I'm taking some components and I'm changing their positioning inside the structure. This does not change anything in the engineering, but it is something that is required for manufacturing purposes. So I'm going to create a kit which will combine different screws. So let's call it manufacturing screws kit, for example. And I'm going to make some selection of these screws. I simply drag them and drop them into this new kit. Again, for manufacturing purposes, this is a way we can modify the the location of engineering of the manufacturing items inside the MBOM. Okay, so I have done this. This is something we can always update and do in the manufacturing bill of material. And now I want to check what is behind this engineering item. So I can see here there is one manufacturing item that represents the camera support. Okay, so let's understand if this is a make or buy, what type of item it is. So I am reviewing now the properties of this manufacturing item, and I see it's a provided part, so it is a buy type of item. It's not manufacturing assembly. I want to make sure this is something that can be manufactured, so I'm trying now to get help of another application, which is 3D markup. I want to understand if this support can sit correctly in this station without interference or any clash between the support and the tool that will be used in order to make this assembly. So I notice here that there is some kind of issue. Seems to be that there is a clash between the camera and the tool that will hold this whole camera assembly, and that seems to be coming from the support. So by visual analysis here, I can highlight this clash, and I can annotate, I can put some remarks here for the engineer to tell him, well, there was an issue here with the design at that specific location. And I am highlighting also the part that is causing the issue. So this markup is something I will collaborate with the engineering. So I take this, I drag it into the task, and I attach it. So now it is visible also for the product engineer to understand what was the issue. So now we can see that it is available as attachment to the task. And all I need to do now is just to write a small comment, which is some kind of a chat between me as a manufacturing engineer and the product engineer to explain what was the issue. So I'm explaining that we did some analysis here and a clash has been found. That means that the support has to be redesigned and we will need to manufacture it internally for some manufacturing purposes or manufacturing reasons. So there is a need to do some changes back in the engineering definition in order to apply the work to the manufacturing environment, let's say. So this way we can see the collaboration here. The manufacturing stopped the work, said no, there is an issue here, and it goes back now to the engineering product engineer in order to enhance the work or enhance the engineering definition. The engineer now receives a notification because of this comment. So the engineer will go directly to the task and he will review that there is a task, there is a content or a comment that has been written by the manufacturing engineer explaining the problem. He says, okay, the first thing I want to see what was found, what is the analysis that was done by the manufacturing. And here we can see the clash by taking a simple look at the 3D markup. And it's clear there is a clash here between the camera and the tooling assembly station. And the product engineer can also add some more content here. For example, we're just putting here some short highlight here to say, okay, I understand the problem. And now let's assume that this work, this support has been redesigned. So now we want to replace the old support with a new one. So we simply right-click and we replace by existing support, and we look for the support that has been designed, and simply we replace the old one with the new one. So the new one should be working better in this machine. And if I drag it, we can see it in 3D. So there is some difference between the old one and the new one. And now I need to define, okay, this is going to be a make because we will manufacture it internally. So I'm creating a scope link or creating a manufacturing item that will be related to this engineering item. But this manufacturing item this time is going to be of type make. This is something we need to make internally. And by that, I finish my work. And again, I go back to the task and I communicate the work that I've done as a product engineer back to the manufacturing engineer to explain that we have created a new design and we have attached also manufacturing assembly to this new engineering item. Okay, so now the manufacturing engineer will receive this new notification, as we can see here. He reviews the task again, because now he needs to take the updated engineering definition and add it to his widget or to his application. Because the old one has the old support and the new one has the new support that needs to be updated from manufacturing point of view. So again, as before, we drag and drop the context back to the manufacturing view. So this way I am sure I'm working on the latest and greatest of the engineering definition. And again, we need to be sure we are working on the right manufacturing BOM. So we will take the right related M BOM, which is called France in this case, and that's the one that will be updated in this scenario. So again, I run this analysis to understand the difference between what has been created and not yet assigned between engineering and manufacturing, and I can see the support, still not something that we have assigned in the manufacturing. And this manufacturing item, we will review the properties to make sure now this is correct. So the first thing we see in the properties that it's a manufacturing assembly, and that was the original request of manufacturing, so this is good. Number two, I want again to analyze this from 3D by again taking this into taking this drone as a whole into the assembly station, and we will see that in this assembly station now the drone fits well, or the support and the camera, they fit well the tools that will be used for the assembly of this drone. So it's okay, the new design seems to be done correctly, and now I confirm that I want to use this manufacturing item into my manufacturing bill of material. The one that was created by the engineering, I will add it automatically through this drag and drop into the manufacturing BOM, and the system will automatically assign this this manufacturing item to the MBOM, and by that I have completed my work, and I simply drag and drop the task and the work is done.